Alright, so this one here, just making sure Dave knows what he's doing first before I start talking too much, because I'm waiting for everything to come flying back at me. Okay, so we're live. so, so this one here is Tiny Toon Adventures. So Stans is actually the world record holder in this one. Dave is in like 5th place or something like that. We made sure that Dave turned his save states off as well, so I mean that'll make this a little bit more competitive. Hard to say. Yeah. I know next to nothing about this game, so I'm the perfect person to commentate. I watched like one run. We should be fine. Yeah, so my understanding of why one's in Japanese is actually just for faster resets. I don't think there's any big difference between the games itself. I learned that in the one run I watched. Okay, so whenever the runners are ready here, I'll give them a countdown. So, we'll say we'll go from 5, and then on go, you guys go. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, we're off! So the big thing with this game is they're going to be trying to maintain momentum throughout the entire thing. And that's what you're going to see with these slide jumps that they're doing. It's apparently like kind of a weird input, where you kind of have to like neutral the D-pad and stuff like that, is my understanding. But if by doing this properly and by maintaining the momentum, they can just fly through these screens until, you know, Dave takes a death and Stans gets through the whole thing. It's alright, Dave. It's just the first screen. You got this. Yeah, deaths are actually apparently pretty costly here. I don't know if they send you back 1 or 2 screens or something like that, but it actually is pretty bad to take a death. So you'll see the runners probably grabbing some safety hearts here and there. Yeah, Stans is through the next screen. Dave finally finished the first one. It's a minute. That's a new PB for him. Yeah, so Stans has to dodge Elvira, I think her name? Elmira? Here, and she actually sends you back to like the beginning of the world if you get caught. So like it's really costly to get caught by her, but thankfully she's like proximity based, so you can kind of dodge around her a little bit. Yeah, and it's the same pattern every time. Yeah, so which we'll see Dave probably doing the same thing, and Stans is going to go for the clip here. Awesome. That saves about like 10 to 12 seconds, depending on how fast you get it, so yeah, really well done by Stans. He's making this look really easy. Unlike Dave. I don't know if Dave's ever played this game before. Alright. So now, Stans should be coming up on the boss of the first world here in a second. Yeah, and he's gonna try and stunlock the mad scientist chick, whoever this person is. I never watched Tiny Toons either. Awesome stunlock by Stans there. Yeah, and then he's going to be going on to the next one. So the goal for this game is to collect, I think, 5 or 6 keys to be used to unlock the last world. So Stans just got the first one there. Dave's coming up on the same boss in a second here. So we'll see if he gets the stun lock as well. He got a stun lock, slightly worse than Stans, but at least it didn't like jump around on the screen, which they can do. Yeah, another thing with this is actually the carrots that they're collecting. If you collect a multiple of 11, you get sent to a bonus game, which wastes 20 to 30 seconds. So the route that they're using is actually specifically picking up or dodging carrots so that they never finish a stage or a world with a multiple of 11. Yeah, which is, once you follow the route, is pretty easy to do, but something that they have to be cognizant of. Yeah. And then, of course, it's an NES game, so you've got your mandatory underwater and / ice section. Yeah, and again, they're using these kind of belly slide things to try and get going as fast as possible and maintain the momentum as fast as possible. So Stans is actually having a really clean run here so far. Yeah, Dave less so, but... Yeah, and that's out of that one for stands. Dave is just entering the same screen. So he's only one screen behind, so it's not that bad. Yeah, all it takes is one costly mistake from stands, and Dave is right back in this. So he's just waiting for Elmira to, I guess, be out of his way so he can get into the exit there. And we get to watch Dave swim for a little bit, kind of smashing his head on the ground, trying to get going a little bit faster. And you would be correct, Epic Monkey, because I can hear him laughing in the background, and it's wonderful. Yeah, so Stans is going to try and despawn a guy here, which I don't know if he did or not, because I don't know what guy we're despawning. Yeah, but Stans does have one safety heart, so he can take damage here if needed, but it just kind of will slow him down a little bit, having to play it a little bit safer. Yeah, he's making this game look like a breeze right now, though. Yeah, whereas... Oh, Dave struggled to get the fast start off of the beginning of that screen. Yeah, it's something where you have to kind of abuse the iframes and get going really fast in order to kind of skip over the top of this level. Yeah, and now that the enemies and stuff are in the way, Dave's having trouble doing it. There he goes. He got half of it. We'll see if he gets the rest. Yeah, I mean, yeah, apparently Epic Neon Ninja Monkey says it's a really tough jump, so... No shame in struggling with it, Dave, but also shame. Yeah, so where it stands at right now. So this is another one where you're kind of jumping across treetops and stuff. Again, it's kind of just avoid enemies as much as possible. Yeah, and trying to maintain your momentum. A big difference between the early world... Ooh, Stans took a death there. That's unfortunate for him, but it gives Dave a chance to catch up after his mistakes. Yeah, they used to do this section with Plucky Duck, but it's actually apparently faster to use... what's this guy's name? Like Fuzzball or something like that? The cat? But it makes the platforming a lot tighter and a lot more difficult. A lot of these jumps are... they're variable height jumps, so you can't just hold jump to get through everything. So... Yeah, Garfield, that's his name. Thank you. Yeah, so Stans is entering 3-2. We got Dave, I think, just entering 3-1 now. And Stans is going to go for another really tight jumps over here to get over all these treetops and stuff. Yeah, just really tight movement to make these jumps and maintain momentum as much as possible. Very well done by Stans there. Oh. Oh, that was beautiful backward sliding. Swag strats in the middle of a race. I love it. Yeah, so apparently it's safe to just stand right there and Elmira won't chase you. I don't know why. I've never played this game before. Oh, Dave takes another death there. Yeah, but again, like I said, with how costly deaths can be in this game, like, Dave's not totally out of it yet. Yeah, so... This is a little bit of a maze level that Stans is starting to go through, these kind of underwater caverns. But I think actually coming up pretty quick here, he's just going to climb over the whole thing. I might be thinking of a different screen, though. Yeah, so this is part of the reason they use the cat here. What is his name? Fuzzball? Furball? But it's just to climb over the entire top of this level. Yeah, and Stans is going to grab the safety heart here, just to make Furball. Thank you, Zelda's kitten. Yeah, and Stans gets the stunlock on the werewolf-looking dude. If I remember what I heard correctly, there's only 2 bosses with genuine RNG in this game. One of them is coming up, I think, at the end of this world? And then the other one's the final boss, but the construction monkey is the one that's really, really troublesome for the speedrun. Yeah, so we got Dave's entering 3-3 right now. I didn't see your answer earlier, Hyrexen. I'm sorry. Hyrexen's another really good runner on this game. I think he's 2nd place? 3rd? Yeah, 2nd place. Yeah, the screen Stans is on right now. These are a bunch of very tight jumps to get through with full momentum. He took it a little bit slow and safe there, but anytime you can get through all screens like that without dying, falling into a pit, is a great, great screen. And again, here it's just kind of bounce off all of the enemies. Yeah, maintain momentum as much as possible. These screens, when they're done properly, are so satisfying to watch. Yeah, and then backward swag strats, because why not? Yeah, so Dave's now entering the werewolf monkey boss thing. So we'll see if he gets the stun lock, which he should. 1, 2, and 3 for Dave, and that's done. So Dave's about 3 screens behind now, so he's got a little bit of catching up to do. He kind of has to hope Stans is going to make a mistake here. Yeah, Stans is into a vertical climb section now. Yeah, where you can kind of just run up this wall and then you can skip a bunch of platforms and all that kind of stuff. And that's what makes Fuzzball here, Fuzzball, Furball, whatever, such a powerful secondary character to use, is his ability to vertically climb like this, and that's why they've been selecting him. Stans is on to the really bad RNG boss, so where these little baby monkeys fall, and the number of times the monkey pounds his chest, is all RNG. So we'll see if he gets any good ones. I don't know what good RNG looks like for this, quite honestly. He should have one more, and then Stans is out of this world here. Perfect. That looked like a really clean fight from Stans. I don't know how close that was to optimal, but really, really well done. And we got Dave should be coming up. I think he's entering 4-2 in a moment here. Oh, he just finished 4-2. Okay, so Dave's only one level behind. And Hyrexon says Stan's got not the greatest of RNG, but not the worst, so that's about all you can hope for in a race, is that you don't get the worst. So Stan's now... Oh, Stan's just fell off a platform, but really early in the level, so that's not the end of the world. Quite honestly, only a few seconds lost. But he has to go around... Oh, another one from Stans. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so the goal for this level is to collect all of the little alien dudes. There's 5 of them in this world, and you have to collect all of them to get out. Yeah, so there was only one in that screen. There's the second for Stans. Let's see how Dave's boss fight goes. He does this really gross climb on the side and don't die, don't fall into the pit thing that I hate. Oh, hey, look at that, he fell into the pit. That's why I hate it. Yeah, meanwhile, Stans is still collecting... Oh, Stans got killed by, like, a teapot? What the hell was that? That thing was weird. Yeah, oh, and that's why deaths are so costly. Dave now has to actually get back to the boss. He doesn't spawn back in the boss, so that's actually a very big time loss for him. Yeah, and Dave takes the safety heart just in case, which had to go a little bit out of his way there for that, but it's probably a good idea based off how he's playing right now. Yeah, so Stans is back to collecting all of these little alien things. He got through a couple of the teapots that killed him last time. Having a bit of trouble getting underneath there, but that was the last one, so now... Pardon me. Now he should be done with this world. Yeah, the way that Dave does this fight, like, I hate it. It looks unnecessarily risky. Yeah, but Dave is finally out of the construction zone, so he's about to go start collecting his own aliens. But thankfully, because Stan struggled quite a bit there, Dave isn't as far behind as he probably thinks he is. But Stans is into the last level, so the big thing with this is just kind of, oh, you need that, Stans, go get it. Yeah, these spikes here are instant kill spikes, so he's got to slide underneath all of them. And I think this is the... Oh, what are you doing, Dave? It's like watching two different games at this point. Yeah, so Dave has to still collect all the aliens, and meanwhile, Stans is... Oh, and Dave dies again. Yeah, so Stans has to dodge these bulldogs here. And I think he's on to one of the last vertical climbs. And then he should be getting into the end boss here. So this one, there might be one more. I don't remember now. Nope, Stans is on the last boss, so time for Stans will come up after he hits the boss 3 times, so that's the first one. That's the second, nice jump off of the coin there. Oh, that's it. There we go, so that's 3 hits on the final boss, and that's time for Stans. With a 1438. Shush, cat. Making all that noise over there. 1438 for Stans, so really well done. Yeah, GG's to Stans, whereas now Dave should just be entering the final level right now. Or, once it's done growing his weird alien bird. And turning it into a key. Oh. Yeah, so let's see how Dave does on this final world, because it's, by far, it's a huge difficulty ramp up compared to the rest of the game. So I'm curious how this will go. Yeah, so we gotta get through the dark part here, and he didn't. So we gotta get through it again. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, every NES game seems to have a dark section nowadays, and they're... Or, not nowadays, but in them. And they're always really, really annoying. So he's sliding under the spikes now. He at least got through that part without dying. Yeah, and again, just a vertical climb. You kind of have to take this a little slow to dodge these... Not slow, but carefully positioned to dodge the little missile fish things there. Yeah, and again, he's going to try and dodge the bulldogs. Oh, and he's going for the swaggy backwards strats because he's been playing really well up until now, so yeah, that was a good idea. Actually, that was a really nice platform skip there. And Dave is into the final boss now. Yeah, so let's see how this one goes for him. There's the first hit. Gotta not get hit by these boxing gloves here. A little bit too high. There you go, third hit, and that's time for Dave with a 1642. Well done, Dave. Within 2 minutes of the world record holder. That's pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, thank you. This is impossible. Like, actually impossible. But GG stands.
Yeah, GG's to Stans. Really, really clean run there. Just a couple of little hiccups in World 5, I think it was. But other than that, really clean run from Stans. And then, yeah, Dave had some moments too.
Yeah, we
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. This is one of those games where it's kind of the same as Bucky hard mode, where once you get out of rhythm, it's really easy to screw up, and I think that's what we saw from Dave there, whereas one missed button input and your whole route is out of whack. So
it's super tricky to... I couldn't practice for this one because of COVID, so it showed. But
well, that's what you said about Bucky, and you were killing Bucky up until you reloaded a save state.
True. Okay, well, I guess we'll stick around for Batman. That'll be right next. And thankfully, we just had some tech issues at the very beginning, so I had to like restream the races myself and time everything as I was racing, so it's been very tricky. So thankfully, from this point forward, I don't have to do shit. I just have to just focus on 2 other people. So that'll make it a little bit easier, I think, moving forward.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I will definitely do that, and I'll switch us off and set up for Batman.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing Ryan and Stans for Batman. Perfect.